What the courtroom layout does is it designs the screen that you're going to see when you load up the JuryLens program on the day of jury selection in the courtroom. So it creates the design on screen, how you want everything to be oriented. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In this sample case that we're using, if you recall, way back at the beginning, we said that there were going to be 15 total jurors in the box, in the jury box. There are 12 jurors, 3 alternates, so there's 15 total. So what I can do is I can visually create on the screen my jury box. So let's say that where I'm sitting in the courtroom is going to be basically here. Let's say the judge's bench is up here and the jury box is over here. So I'm going to create my jury box. So what I'm going to do is, how many columns are in this jury box? And the columns and rows basically create cells, if you're familiar with Excel, and each cell is the jury seat. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to do 2 columns, and I'm going to do, I ultimately want 15, but this is asked me for an even number. So I'm going to, it's because I have 2 columns, it's going to give me an even number because it's 2 columns times how many ever rows. So 2 columns, 8 rows. What number I want to start this group with. So this is the first group I'm going to add to the screen. So it'll start with juror number 1. And then this asks you, where does juror number 1 sit? So if we're going to create a column, this would be the top of the column. Is juror number 1 at the top left of the column, top right of the column, bottom right of the column, bottom left of the column, and then which way are the numbers going to go? Are they going to go sideways, meaning 1, 2? Or are they going to go vertical, meaning 1, 2, in terms of the seat order? So let's say my juror is going to be up front in the right-hand corner. And I'll show you what I mean by this because I know it's a little confusing there. I click New Seating Group, and it adds it for me. So I'm going to call this the jury box. And what you'll see is, if you remember, I wanted juror number 1 in the upper right-hand corner. If you see, juror number 1 now is in the upper right-hand corner. I wanted the numbers to go vertically. So 1, 2, and if you can see that, they go vertically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I would have done it horizontally, it would have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So that's what you can do there. Now, I only have, if you recall, since I had 2 columns and 8 rows, it threw 16 in here, but I don't have 16 in my jury box. I have 15. So all I do is I go down to seat 16, click the X in the box, and now it's removed. Now I have the 15 in there. I'm going to move it up over here like this, so it's in the upper left-hand corner. Remember, my perspective is I'm sitting here, and so if I'm looking at the judge's bench, the jury box is to the left of me. That's the jury box. Now what I want to do is I want to create the rest of the venire, the galley. So let's say this is a typical state courtroom, and I have the jury box. I'm sitting at the attorney tables. They're somewhere over here. The galley is probably somewhere behind me. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to create a new seating group. This time, I need to know how many jurors I need in it. So I had 75 total jurors. You can see that over here. That's what I entered at the beginning. I've already added the first 15, so that means there's 60 more seats I have to create. So let's say this, you can modify this, but let's say that the galley's sitting in rows back here. So I'm going to create a row. So I'm going to go ahead and click this because the number is going to go sideways. And let's say there's 10 jurors in each row. So the row, so I'm going to have 10 columns. And since there would be 6 rows, right? So it's 10 columns. So the column is going to be each cell going across. So 10 going across. And then going down are going to be 6 rows. So that gives me 60 jurors. Let's say that this time the next number to pick up is 16. So I can start at 16. I could start at a different number as long as it's not a number that already exists. But I'm going to start with 16. But let's say this time 16 is basically going to sit closest to the jury box, and then the numbers are going to go horizontally to the right. So I want to move 16. It says 1 there, but that basically means the next number in the box that you're creating. So I'm going to put 16 over there. It goes horizontally, and then click New Seating Group. And what you can see there is now it gives me my seating group. I'm going to call this the galley. And so you'll see there's 10 seats across, 16. I wanted to start over here on the left, and then I wanted the numbers to go horizontally across. So you go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and then next row. I have 6 rows, I have 10 columns. That gives me 75 total. So I've labeled this the galley. I'm going to move this down. Maybe visually there's a couple ways you could do it. It's really your preference. You get total design control here. Maybe I want it to look just like from my perspective. So I'm going to move it down the screen because I'm going to be sitting here. And I just want the layout to be oriented that way. And you just use a scroll bar to get down to it. Let's say I don't want to, they are behind me, but I just don't want to deal with any scrolling at all. I can just move it up, and then I can just, visually remember. Maybe I put it down here to help me visually remember. Over here's jury box, over here's the galley. So I've created my courtroom layout. If I'm happy with that, what I do is I'm going to come over and click Save Courtroom Layout and continue, and that's going to take me to the screen that I'm going to use on the day of jury selection when I'm tracking all the data. So let's take a look at what happens here. Ask me if I'm sure, as usual. And it creates my courtroom layout. As you can see, we have the jury box over here. We have the galley over here.